Billy, I'm assuming you've seen Miami enough times on random film that you've got a little bit of familiarity, but it is kind of strange, isn't it, that you haven't played them this deep into the season, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's usually you play an Eastern Conference team, somewhere earlier in the schedule, but it's the way it fell, and we'll play them two times here late.
Any thoughts on what's going to be key from a matchup standpoint with them?
Yeah, I mean, great team speed. Guys that can put the ball on the floor. Really utilize, take advantage of the 3-point line. Have a lot of interchangeable parts, a lot of interchangeable forwards. Fours and fives are skilled, can handle pass and shoot. So it'll be a great challenge for us defensively guarding them.
Billy, I've asked you about all bench lineups before this season, but what's the purpose for that? Still at this juncture of the season to still go with all bench lineups at times.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is trying to, with Carmelo and Russell and Paul, making sure that they're in, their rhythm, their routine, and how they feel comfortable, and then working, off of them and trying to communicate with them. So there's going to be times where when you're starting those guys, and Paul's playing the whole first quarter, and Russell and Melo are coming out, there's going to be times that they're going to be all three of them going to be out of the game. I don't think that's the best thing for long stretches. So I think that's been some of the reason, maybe keeping Paul in for a few possessions there in that second quarter to kind of maybe have it closer to overlapping when Russell comes back. But yeah, I mean, because there's a balance. I didn't feel like Paul, in my opinion, even talking to him, was great with 6 minutes, come out, wait, come back in, to close the quarter. I just think for him, he's a kind of player that gets into more and more rhythm as the game goes on, and he's flowing in the game, and he's reading the game, and he's kind of better that way. And I'm also, I think, for Carmelo too, it's a, sometimes I think for him, the resting part for him, you just don't want to have him. You want to keep him going, keep him flowing as good as he possibly can. So, I mean, they play a big part in that because the most important thing is that they feel comfortable, they're in rhythm, and they're playing at a high level, and then you try to work around those things.
No, this might be, I don't know if this is a smart question or not, but is that something that gets cut when you get to the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually, you're going to look at matchups, and there's going to be certain kind of matchups and things like that. I mean, for me, I look at it differently. We got 9 games left, and we want to keep getting better, improving, and playing. And after the 9 games, we'll find out if we're in the playoffs or not in the playoffs. We got to earn our way in there. But if you're fortunate enough to make it, then you're looking at who you're playing against, and what are good matchups, and you're looking at your rotations, and things change. Guys are going to probably play more minutes. Russell's minutes will go up. Paul's minutes will go up. Probably Carmelo as well. There'll be different guys' minutes will go up. There's a little, not dealing with back-to-backs. You're dealing with one team. There's breaks in between games, so some of that stuff will change.
Do you feel like guys that are going to have their minutes extended, do you feel like they're properly prepared for that if they're not playing with those all-bench units, or they're not being mixed in with the bench? You're doing that with Paul now.
Yeah, I mean, Paul's been used to that a little bit, because we did some during the year where he was coming back in the end of the first quarter. I'm not really worried about that. Those guys will be fine, I think, doing that and playing with those guys. And Paul's, I think, has done a really good job playing with the guys coming off the bench, and I think he's added chemistry to the group as well.
Billy, is there some sort of balance when you do find something that works that you might stash it during the regular season and pull it out later in the playoffs?
Like...
rotation-wise?
No. If something's working, you want to be able to get into good rotations. Our rotations have changed during the course of the year, just because I think in order to figure out what's best for the team, you always want to experiment a little bit. You're going to have to do that. We started off early in the year. We were taking out Paul after 6 minutes. He was open to it, but he seemed like he played better when he played the whole first quarter. We staggered Carmelo a little bit and had him go there with the second unit, and he seemed really effective and efficient with Russell out there on the court. So you try to mix and match players. You're trying to mix and match, the number of minutes guys are on the floor, and you try to experiment with that. And our guys have been great as it relates to saying, hey, listen, I'll do whatever I can to help the team, whatever you think is best. So we've tried different things, and if it hasn't worked, we really haven't gone back to it.
Billy, I don't mean this with any relation to him actually coming back, but just in general, how is Andre doing?
In terms of
Like physically, where's he at? What's he doing? Is he still wearing the brace?
oh yeah. I mean, he's got a long way to go. I mean, really nothing's changed. He's still in the brace, and like I said, when we're here in practice, he's here, he's around. It's good to see his face. He's upbeat. He smiles. He goes through his treatment, his rehabilitation, those kind of things. So I mean, he's getting better, progressing, at the rate he should progress. But I think for him, it's going to be a long road to recovery here. But he'll work really hard to get himself back to where he was.
Something you guys have all talked about in regards to Terrence is his ability to retain things. Like you've said so many times, like you
Right.
tell him something and he can apply it immediately. Where's that come from with Terrence, personality-wise?
Oh yeah, I mean I don't know. I think that that's a skill, to a certain standpoint. I think guys, I think a lot of times your experiences, dictate. I think sometimes when I don't know if this is the case, but I don't know if he was a kid that was talented and played with older guys, maybe listened a lot to what they had to say through experiences. Could be coming from his family. Maybe seeing different experiences and learning through watching and listening. I think a lot of those things are picked up in a variety of different ways. I've coached guys that sometimes they got to learn the hard way. They got to go through difficulties and struggles to experience themselves to get better. Some guys can look at somebody else and say, okay, well I don't want to do that because this is going to be the result. But to pinpoint where it comes from, it'd be hard for me to say, but I'm sure it's a lot of his upbringing, his environment, and what he's been exposed to.
Someone like Andre, who like his defensive IQ is just like through the roof. Do you tell him like go over to Terrence, talk about what you do in these situations, and hope that applies?
Well, I mean, every situation is different. You know what I mean? Every situation is different. But I think guarding certain players, giving them keys or tips, playing against certain personnel, I think can help. Trying to keep Andre engaged with the rest of the group helps doing that. We've encouraged Andre to do that. Terrence is a great listener, like I said, so he's more than willing to listen and learn from Andre.
You're going to get a chance to go down to the Blue game tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to probably try to go down there, yep.
How does that feel for you, just having your son?
Yeah, it was
get
great. I
his
mean, obviously,
career?
most of my kids are grown, so they're, 3 of them are out of the house. So I don't get a chance to see him a lot. So I got a chance to grab dinner with the oldest one last night, which was nice, and I'll get a chance to see him at the game tonight, which would be good. So he's enjoying himself.
Anybody else? Thanks, Coach.